How are you, BookTube? My name is Maria and welcome to my channel MH Books and welcome to a Friday Reads. Well, it's filmed on Friday morning. I have no idea when it go up. It might go up if that works. That's a 4G router. So if the 4G router works, it might go up today. If you see it on Saturday, early-ish, it's probably because I managed to upload it on my mother's internet. And if it's Monday, it's because I had to upload it when I went into the office. We had a slight accident here. The building site across the road is very big, it's huge. It's building a huge health centre and nursing home, as I said before. And they were directing an articulated lorry with a JCB at the back of it the other day, and I was watching them and I was kind of going, you're hitting off my telephone wire doing that, because I live in a very old village in Dublin, and the infrastructure, because of our listing and things, is since the 1950s. So our that's why my broadband is horrendous anyway. Our phone doesn't go underground, it doesn't have fibre optics, it gets swings and poles. It swings and poles too low as well. There's an article going by at the moment as well. So I was watching him, he was banging it off, and I went, no wonder my broadband has gotten worse than normal over the last couple of weeks if these trucks are just hitting it. And I was watching him do that, and he reverses into his lovely space very cleverly, because it's so tight around here, into the building site. And then I see, after the truck, are three men carrying a telephone pole. They had already knocked one down, just slightly up the road that connected to mine. So he'd already hit it and knocked off. So we have no broadband or landlines. And as I have horrendous eyesight, if you can see this through the glasses, horrendous eyesight, I don't do YouTube on my phone. I also don't do it for mental health reasons, because a few years ago I was doing it too much and I wasn't taking a break. So that's one of the reasons I didn't put it on my phone, but I couldn't even put it on my phone temporarily because I can't see well enough on my phone to comment properly, and I can't watch YouTube videos and not be able to comment. It just wasn't possible. So I have been off YouTube for a few days. I was back on yesterday, on Thursday, while in the office, because we quietened down enough that I was taking my breaks in order to do some watching and commenting. But before that, we're actually too busy because we're getting ready to go back to hybrid working. So that's what I have to do. I have to lean over peer over the glasses 3.5 minutes on this week. So sorry for not watching your videos. I'll get to them. This router thing seems to be working, at least for watching. I don't know how it's going to be for upload. We might get it to upload as well. We shall see. This was actually, I didn't realise, I'd forgotten. We'd gotten this in working from home during COVID and crisis, so that everybody always had access to internet, and I forgot we had it. And I was one of the 2 people who bought it. So there you go. So I could have had it days ago. This week, what was I actually reading in between all the traumas? On the Landing, by stories by Yenta Mash, has been finished. So I was reading it for Women in Translation once, so I did finish it well into September, but you know. These stories are translated from the Yiddish by Ellen Cassedy. And when you get to the end of the book, you realise it's actually based on Yenta Mash's life. In a way, it takes place over the course of her life. So it starts off in Siberia, goes to Soviet Moldova, and then in the 1970s, Israel, where everybody emigrates. Obviously Yiddish, the characters are Jewish. And I had appreciated it, and all the characters are sort of the age that she would have been, more or less, in all these places. That's where the way her life took part. The stories are short, they have a great sense of place. I have started my first story of the Dubliners. Dubliners is behind here in my currently reading pile. So I have done the first one again. This is early 20th century, middle class Dublin. And I'm presuming the Dubliners, from its title, has its own sense of place. I've only read one story and it's my first choice. And I'm just wondering with the two contrast. They may not. I will be reading this. Let's not do things in order, the traditional order. I will be reading this in time so that I can start on, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Again, I don't know when you're going to see this, so try and work that out. Buddy reading with Ellen and Big Hard Books and Classes, Dubliners 100. This was published on the 100th anniversary of the original Dubliners publication, and there's a lot of famous Irish authors who have done it. So the Irish authors are there, if there's any that you recognise. So there are a lot of people that would have been famous, and you notice the predominance of men. It's taken a while to get recognition for female authors in true fiction. It is quite a new phenomenon. Sally Rooney and people are quite a new phenomenon in Ireland. It was very predominated by men until very, very recently. Okay, other books that I finished. I have not been sleeping well. So what I've done is didn't want to read one of the books I was currently reading. So I listened to a horror ghost story-ish book. So I'm going to have to put the picture. It's Elizabeth Hans Wylding Hall. It is a cross between Daisy Jones and the Six and a haunted house story. How about that? That's the way I would describe it. We are filming today with the Budgies because I'll put a picture of that as well, so we'll have to interview the pictures there a bit. The poor little Joey, who is the blue Budgie, it has a respiratory infection, and she can't breathe, which is what the squeaks are, and she doesn't like it when I leave. She starts to panic, and obviously she can't breathe when she panics, so she's not doing too well, and I can't be treated with antibiotics, so we're left with the inevitable consequences of her thing. That's her crossing over to get to the other Budgie. She doesn't want me. Do you hear me say her name? So cross between Daisy Jones and the Six, and because there it's basically a 1970s acid folk band. They are on their second album. They're all in their late teens, early 20s. They go to this old manor house in England somewhere, and they're supposed to be isolated for 2-3 months to make their second album. And you know, the house is very inspiring, all the rest of it, but it's told as interviews, which is why it's like Daisy Jones the Six-ish, from all the band members except for the lead singer and songwriter, who has gone mysteriously missing. And it's about the making, because the album is made while at this haunted place. It has elements of the haunted house story and elements of folk horror in here, as the environments in the woods and the cairns around the house are all very important to the story. It's actually just a novella, very atmospheric, and was very enjoyable, which is a weird thing to say when you can't sleep. It was... It's not the reason I couldn't sleep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so we just have to deal, apologies to those who just listened, we just have to deal with Budgie noises today because I don't, she's not doing too well. So Audrey Rose reading for Jonah Books and Bloods, that 70s horror, was really good. Again, a 1970s classic I hadn't read, and I'm very glad that because of this reading challenge that I did read it. It's a child, and has she been reincarnated or not? It actually went to a court case, and it reminded me an awful lot of was it The Miracle on 42nd Street? No, not 42nd. I can't remember the name of the number of the street, where they're trying to prove whether Santa Claus is real. In this one, they're trying to prove whether reincarnation is real, as to issue the reincarnation of Audrey Rose, and it was just a good story, well told. And it was intriguing until the end, and I'm so glad that I got to read it as part of that challenge. Okay, she flew across the room, which means she can't breathe very well. So, yeah. I know. Oh, Joey, yeah. She can answer back. Heart-shaped box, Joe Hill. Finished it in the car. Another ghost story. Another music-based ghost story. And we have, what's his name? I've forgotten his name. Jude is again. He's a lead songwriter and guitar player. And he buys a ghost over the internet. But it's more personal than he expects. Because it's well known that he likes to buy this kind of stuff because of what it is. It was a heavy rock band. And it's a thoroughly entertaining ride. Unlike Joe Hill is extremely like Stephen King, and the style is so similar. You can tell he was brought up in the stories. I know that my first time I read Joe Hill, I didn't realise he was related to Stephen King, and I went, this man has read a lot of Stephen King. You could tell from the first 2 chapters. But I think in Joe Hill's case that he has his end in mind, and whereas Stephen, his dad, just puts interesting characters together in an interesting scenario and hopes the best for the ending and doesn't always get there. I think this one had its plotted. Does that make it better or worse? I don't know, but it did make it an enjoyable book. So yeah. So that's the end of the books I finished. I am still currently reading. Oh yeah, because when I finished Wylding Hall, I picked another book on audio. The Plague Stones by James Borgden, because I knew I actually owned a copy of this one. This one is again, sorry, a lot of horror this week. This one is again, horror is my comfort thing because other things are going on in the background. This is a village that had a death by the Black Plague in the Middle Ages, and we don't know at this stage, I'm this far through, quite what happened, but they've obviously abandoned some of their part of their village, I'm guessing, and let them die the Black Plague, and now they're trying to seal off the revengeful spirits using these stones, and then these religious ceremonies that they hold. They were all Christian ceremonies, but religious ones that they hold to try and enforce keeping these evil spirits, or these vengeful, not necessarily evil spirits, from getting a revenge on the rest of the village who let them die. I'm guessing is what happened. We don't know, so we shall see if I guessed right. If I guessed right, sorry if I spoiled, but it's accidental because I haven't read this far. At this stage in time, a family has moved into their great aunt's house, and it's all rent free and all the rest of it. But it's based on the fact that they have a stone and they have to follow these religious festivals. And we know, because we're told all that the village has organised all of this, and they're trying to make sure this family stays. It's very important that these families stay in this house. So that's as far as I've gotten in this one. His writing style, it's my first James Borgden, and I have owned 4 different books by him, and it's a very easy to read writing style, very entertaining, and so far I'm really enjoying his premise and setup. It's a bit different to the normal. Irish ghost stories, I'm actually probably about 3/4 way through. I haven't actually marked it in the right place. This is just based on real life real life ghost stories. This is a piece of research I'm doing for my own writing. And yeah, these are never terribly entertaining in the fact that these are supposed to be stories that really happened. So they're not really well told as a story. I'm just reading them to see can they be incorporated into stories that are retold. The Long Afternoon by Inga Vesper came from the Rare Birds Book Club a couple of days ago. And I have 12 books on the go, so I just picked up a 13th and started reading it. It's 1950s America, and somebody has there's a woman who's a black woman who's doing cleaning for various white women, and one of the white women has just we assume she's dead, but they just found a whole lot of blood and the kid was left alone, and the first automatic reaction of the police is to arrest her because she's a black woman. That's as far as they've gotten, but it sounds it sounds like it's going to be fun. It's written in a light-hearted manner, obviously, and we do know that the police officer who's going to lead this investigation does not believe she's done anything wrong and is about to release her. So, but only a few pages in, load of presumptions in that one. Also reading, so the car reading is the second book in the Matthew Shardake series by C.J. Sanson, so it's Darkfire. Find it a little bit dull, to be honest. Does this series get better? I think it does. I think that's I'm really trusting on people when they say this series gets better. So yeah, we're about that far in. We'll see. I am finding it a little bit dull. And this one I was warned might be a bit dry-ish. This is The Haunting of Alma Fielding. Now, it's not really about, it is based on true haunting. It's not so much about the haunting as about the history of the investigator. This is the same author as The Suspicions of Mr. Whitaker. So it's about the phenomenon of this man and how these it's set in the it's what happened in the 1930s, not set in the 1930s, and about how these paranormal investigations took place and how the Second World War was influencing them, and it's about the history of him and his investigation. So there's only so much when you're not particularly sleeping well at night that I can actually read and take in when it's kind of very more factual. Okay, I think it's very well written too, but it's just I think people see true haunting and they think it's one of those scary stories. It's not. It's about the history of the man who's doing the investigation into the haunting. Alma Fielding was a 1930s housewife who had poltergeists in her house, but so it's more about the history of him. And then on Sunday, because we confirmed by Voxer, I did have the first few things reading with Emily Novell novels, Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan, which everybody else seems to have read, I think. I don't remember, considering so many people read a lot about it, and I know it's set in Japan, with an Irish, protagonist. So I guess we're going to see about Exciting Times and what we think about. Very, very much looking forward, though, to doing that buddy read with the lovely Emily. So no matter what, it's going to be fun. And that's it. It is now just under the 20 minutes. That's long enough, considering I don't even know if I can upload this. So I hope whatever you're reading that you're enjoying it. And I hope that the router stays online and I can actually watch some more of your further reads from this week and then maybe catch up last week. So meanwhile, have fun. Bye-bye.